Hey guys, in this video I'll be going over what you can do to improve your aim in Call of Duty, and I've been doing this strategy since Modern Warfare 2019, and over this time I have evolved my strategies for improving my aim. And the most important thing I started doing is warming up against bots in private matches. And in the beginning, it was pretty basic, but as time went on, my strategies have gotten better. How I want you to look at this is like it's target practice, and this is basically just to get your muscles warm and get your muscle memory ready. First off, I'll explain what guns and classes are best to use. Then I'll go over the settings to use in the private match, and I will also go over my controller settings. And lastly, I will explain what specific exercises you should do to improve your aim. I have every topic timestamped, so feel free to skip around if there is something specific you're looking for. But make sure to watch the end since I have some great exercises that I think will help you a lot. When you get into a private match, first off, just go to audio settings and put the master volume to 0. There is no need for audio while doing any of this, and go ahead and just put on a video or music or whatever you want to listen to. Then I'll show you what weapons and classes you should use. So for the vest, I would generally always have the overkill vest. The exception to this can be if you want to use a pistol or launcher secondary. Then I'll use the compression carrier just for the health regen. For tacticals and lethals, just make sure to have it varied so that you get used to using different things, and try to always use it so that you become more accurate while throwing them. If you're using a throwing knife, try to pair it with the scavenger gloves so that you can replenish them. Otherwise, the marksman gloves are pretty much always a great option. The boots, they're not really that important. Stalker boots can be a great option just for the movement speed while ADS. Mag holster is pretty much always on every class just because the reload is so slow without it. So now I'll just quickly go over all the classes, and you can just pause the video if you would like to use these attachments yourself. So using these 6 classes, you basically have everything you need, and then you can have just other random stuff on the other classes. It's not really that important. Now we're gonna head on over to the game setup, and on the game mode, just pick the free-for-all game mode. It's the best one for warming up against bots. We're gonna skip the map for now, and I'm gonna get into that later. And on the game rules, you just go first to the left so that you go to the lowest point and then you get to the highest, which is 45 minutes. And you do the same thing for points and go 2 down, so the match start time is 5 seconds. Head on over to the player tab. The only thing you should change here is health regen to fast. Optionally, you can change the health for Warzone levels, which could be around 250 to 300, or for practicing long-range sniping, you can even take it down to 80, 75, or maybe 100, so that you can hit those long-range shots on bigger maps. But for now, for your first game, I would recommend 150. Radar always on to constant or directional, whichever you prefer. And this is just so that you get used to using the minimap and looking up there to find enemies. And also weapon pings on minimap to UAV only. Otherwise, you don't need to change anything else on this tab. So then you can go over to the gameplay, and here we'll change the spawn ammo mags to max, health steal on, crank timer. Either you can have this on, whichever, if you want to, you get perks and you get extra movement speed, but I like to leave it off. Field upgrade charge rate will be irrelevant if you're using overkill classes, since you don't have field upgrades. But if you want to, you can have that on. And I like to leave kill streaks off just because I feel like it gets in the way and you can accidentally call in a nuke if you get 25 kills. Yeah, so these are the settings that you need for warming up. Now for the map, this is pretty important, and this is because some maps are a lot better for warming up. So I will just leave a tier list I made of the best maps for warming up. And I would recommend for your first time, or the top two maps for warming up are either Rest or Terminal. Just because you get a lot of bots, but you can also get those long range engagements. But for your first time, just go with one of them. I'll go with Rest now. So now let's configure the bots, and you'll just go over to the right, and right under your name, you'll press the plus sign. The maximum amount of bots is 23. I would recommend this for most maps. The exception would probably be gunfight maps, smaller maps, then you can go down to 15 or as low as 10, but for the bigger maps, 23 is pretty good. As in difficulty, I pretty much always go with Recruit. The downside with Recruit is that the bots will move in a very linear fashion. They will just stand still or move in a straight line forward, which it can be pretty easy to hit them. And once you get into a real lobby, you will see people weaving from the left to right. And with hardened and veteran bots, they will. You can either choose mixed or veteran if you're going for a real challenge, but maybe for your first times, just go with recruit. Before I start the game, I'm going to go over my controller settings, and these are so I'm gonna go over my controller settings before we get into the game, and I have watched multiple videos on controller settings, so this is what I thought were the best options from all of those different videos. I have a very weird setup on my controller because I use a Scuff Reflex FPS Pro, and what I do basically is I jump with L1 and I crouch with R1. And I also use my paddles. I have 4 underneath, and I use my paddles for triangle, square, circle, and X, so that I never have to take my right thumb off the joystick. So controller vibration should be off. Dead zone inputs, I like to have the left stick min to 1 so that I don't move accidentally while I'm not touching the joystick. But the left stick max should be set to 65 so that you reach maximum sprint even quicker. Right stick min, I have it to 0, but anything between 0 and 5 is good. I like to have stick drift just because I feel like it becomes more responsive and there's no delay between me wanting to aim and where I'm aiming. But I've seen multiple videos of pros using 2, 3, 4, and even 5. Now heading over to the aiming tab, the stick sensitivity should be set anywhere between 5 and 10. Most pros are somewhere around 6 to 7, but you can choose whatever you like. An ADS sensitivity multiplier should also be set to something like 1 or a 0.9, 0.8. I just go with a 1 because that's what I'm used to, but I think maybe it could be slightly better with zero point 0.9. But it's, of course, whatever you are used to. Aim response curve type, always go dynamic. Just trust me, everyone goes dynamic. Aim assist type should be default. The other contender is Black Ops, but I think most people agree that default is slightly better. And now to the gameplay tab. Automatic tactical sprint is what I use, but some people defend using automatic sprint because they don't want the sprint to fire speed to be so high when you're running around. And I do see that point, I just think that it's more chill to not have to press L3 when you want to sprint. Single tap run. Slide dive behavior is, it's best to have it at high. And when we're on slide dive behavior, I think it's best to have it on hybrid if you're able to use it that. It's basically that you press L3 while pressing dive, and then you'll dive, but some people use slide only if you don't feel like you need to dive. So it's whatever you want to choose. Yeah, and just basically feel free to copy down everything here. This one is pretty important, I think, because some people will play with prioritize interact, but I think that if you're missing one bullet and you're just trying to pick up some ammo real quick, then you will always reload just because you can tap to reload. But I think that this one is a pretty good one to get used to because you just need to hold, and yeah, it's what I'm used to, so it's what I use. For all of you impatient people, this is what I'm gonna go over in the first part of the exercises for improving your aim. I basically always just listen to music, audiobooks, podcasts, whatever, YouTube videos while warming up. So now I haven't played in a day and a bit more, and my aim is pretty off, but this is just what the start will look like. So I will just recommend just first going around on your own sensitivity before you get into any of the exercises. You can see that my aim is pretty off right now, and that's pretty normal when you haven't played for a few days. Okay, so now that I died for the first time, I will always just go one to the right and switch the next to the next class. What makes Rust such a great map is that you have so many open areas where you get bots coming at you from all directions, and it makes it a pretty difficult map to play, but this exact spot right here, you can see that you get bots from all directions, and you need to be pretty quick because they will kill you. So this is a great place to practice. But if that is too hard to stand out here in the open, you can easily just go in here to this little pocket, and then you can practice just turning from side to side there. Another great spot to hold is up here on the top of the map. That is just to practice hitting those shots. And if you're sniping, say, I would recommend just trying to go for headshots. Of course, if you don't get one, it's fine, but so the first exercise I will do is that I will change my sensitivity to 5.5, and then I will turn off my aim assist. Let's see, here it is. So I'll turn aim assist off, and what you'll notice is that it's much more difficult to be accurate, but since you're at 5.5, it's still manageable. So at a very low sensitivity, I just like to practice tracking without aim assist. And even just moving without rotational aim assist, it's pretty difficult, but what you'll notice is that when you become accurate with this sensitivity, and with aim assist off, then you become super accurate. What's also pretty helpful is that when I have health steal on, then I will survive places where I shouldn't, so a bot will be shooting me in the back, and since I'm shooting another bot, it's just fine. So now that I died, I will switch classes, and I can even put aim assist back on and play for a minute with aim assist back on, and what you'll notice straight away when you put aim assist back on, you feel like you don't miss a bullet even. It's like you just become so accurate. Yeah, I'm basically not gonna die with this, so I just will die on purpose, and I will go back to aiming and put my sensitivity to 1010, and then I will take aim assist off, switch classes to, yeah, let's go with a rifle class. And what you'll notice in the beginning is that it's much more difficult to aim precisely, but especially track targets that are moving sideways. With a little time, you become a lot better. Another great exercise to do while doing all this is that now that I'm on 1010 sensitivity and I have no aim assist on, I will just try to track enemies and just go back and forth. And you can see that it's difficult to be accurate, but it's still doable. And the satisfying part after you've done this is just to put aim assist back on and notice how much easier it is to aim, and you feel like you find all the targets so much more easy because now you have the health that you didn't have. Now I've played with 1010 for a few minutes or a little while, and I feel comfortable with it. So now I'm gonna up it even more, and I'm gonna take off aim assist, and I'm gonna go up to 1515. The reason why you should practice on 1515 is because you get a lot better at making those fine, very small adjustments that you don't get while playing on lower sensitivities. And it makes you just try to make, what I would recommend you do is try to make really small adjustments. So move your joystick just a tiny bit so that you can track people. The best part about this warm-up is that it's actually a realistic representation of what it's like for me because I haven't played COD in a couple of days and I feel sort of rusty. Obviously, I've done this a lot, so I get more quickly into it, but it's still difficult for me to do, and I noticed that I will get a lot worse very quickly. So instead of timing how long you play on each sensitivity, I would just recommend to play until you feel comfortable. Yo, did he just spawn right behind me? No, I didn't. Okay, now I feel sort of comfortable with it, so I'm gonna go down and put aim assist on and keep on sniping. The aim here isn't to be able to do a lot of 360s or 720s. It's rather to be very precise on a high sensitivity, just making small adjustments, acting like you're on a low sensitivity, moving slowly. But then you're also able to turn around very quickly. And I don't know, I feel like sometimes I don't even see people, but the aim assist just makes me stop at them automatically. So it's small adjustments until you need to make a very quick one. I'm just trying to be very controlled until I need to turn around in 180. And the most fun part now is that when I'm done with 1515, I'm gonna go all the way back to 5-5 and repeat this cycle where I go 5-5 with no aim assist. And now I'm on round 2. And you're gonna be repeating this, and what you'll notice is that you will, on each no aim assist turn, you will just notice that your aim will be slightly better and better. And once you feel like you've gotten used to playing on this, then I would just go back and put aim assist on again and keep doing this cycle. And you can time it, but I would rather just recommend to take it by feel when you feel like you're ready to move on to the next step. And it doesn't need to be 5, 10, 15, 15 either. It can be whatever sensitivity you choose. You can even go as high as 2020, or you can pick the exact sensitivity that you normally use, whether that be 6.6, 7.7, or whatever number you choose. But I would cycle between 3 or 4 different sensitivities and then just get used to playing at all of them. Lastly, I want you to remember that throughout doing this, you can also practice hitting nades accurately or throwing knives at a long distance. So let's say that you're sniping and to see, some people just don't know how to hit nades or stuns accurately, so improving this can make you, yeah, a lot better as a player. So now I'm heading into a new map, and I normally do this where I play a little on 2 different maps. And Terminal is pretty great. I spawned in here, and this is a very good spot for practicing versus bots. They will just come at you from many different sides. So this spot where I'm at right now in Terminal is a pretty good spot to practice because bots will, there will always be someone spawning here when you're standing where I'm standing right now. But also there are some pretty good spots like up here on this ledge. While you're doing all this, just keep on changing your sensitivity when you feel like it, and also keep on putting aim assist on and off. But this would generally be done when you're at a longer practice session, not just for a quick warm up. Then I would just recommend having one sensitivity and then doing 5 minutes with no aim assist, and then doing like 10 minutes with it on, just because it can become, yeah, a little unusual. Another great tactic is to go for headshots only, and I love using the MTC interceptor for that, just because it's a two shot to the body, but at a certain range, it's one shot to the head. You see, even the recruit bots, they do kill you pretty quickly, so you gotta be ready for them. Another important thing to practice in Call of Duty is aiming vertically, which you can practice here on this part of Quarry. So you can either stand up here on these rocks or down there, but just make sure that you need to switch where you aim a lot. So there are things Activision could do to improve warming up against bots in private matches, and one of them is just adding a infinite or unlimited time limit and also score limit. This used to be the case in Modern Warfare 2019, but they changed it, and I don't know why, because it worked well in that game. And also, it would be cool to have a God mode where the only the bots take damage, so that you can have veteran bots and they move in a difficult way, but you don't get shot by them. Max of holding would be a great addition to the game, so that yeah, you don't need to reload. It's already there, but they should just add it into private matches. And that also goes for specialist. They should add specialists so that we can have all perks and just be more nimble against bots. And the last idea I have for improving private matches could be a bit more difficult, but you could add two difficulties on the bots, one for movement and one for shooting, so that you can have a recruit shooting bot, but you can have a veteran moving bot, or the opposite, but I would imagine that would be the use for it. So these are my ideas for improving private matches. It would be really easy to implement them, and I don't know why they don't. I don't think they even think about it. And if you channel, thanks so much, guys. Bye bye.